Hey guys, Welsknight here, and welcome back to another episode of Jurassic World Evolution. Hope you guys are having an awesome day. I'm having a fantastic day. I think today is going to be the last episode of Jurassic World Evolution for a number of reasons, most of them just based around timing. And to be honest, like, the series just has not performed very well. The vast majority of people who watch my videos seem to not really care about that series. Or about this series, and you know what? That's okay. And if you're watching this episode, you are in the minority where you have enjoyed this series, and I thank you for watching it and all that kind of stuff. But what I want to do in today's episode is kind of give like my final thoughts on Jurassic World Evolution. Now, they have said that there will be updates coming to the game, so these are my thoughts as of July 17th, 2018, if you're someone watching this video far in the future. And when this game first launched, on launch day, I put out like a first impressions video, where I think it was titled, Jurassic World Evolution is not Planet Coaster, or something like that. And I admit that when I had heard about this game, I was kind of under the impression that this game was basically going to be Planet Coaster, but set in the world of Jurassic Park. Planet Coaster with dinosaurs is kind of what I was expecting. And maybe I was expecting that. Maybe those expectations were just completely wrong and I jumped to conclusions. Maybe there was some stuff in the marketing that led me to those conclusions. But either way, I stand by my statement that this game is not Planet Coaster with dinosaurs. However, with that said, my first impressions were fairly negative, and I have come around to this game to an extent. I do like this game better than I did when I first started. I've grown to like it more as I've played it more, because when I did the first impressions video, I played it for like probably 2 hours leading up to that, and obviously that's kind of the whole point of like a first impressions video. But now that I've put a lot more time into it, I've grown to, I'd say I like it. It's okay. It does suffer from some things though. And I know we've been kind of flying around the map here a bit, but I'm gonna start finally getting into some specific examples. So it suffers from some things that I think it could really use. First of all, this game suffers, I think, fairly heavily from also released on console syndrome. I think there's a lot of stuff that they could do with the PC version of the game that they didn't do with the PC version of the game because it was simultaneously released on consoles. For example, there's no pause time. There's no, speed up, slow down, anything like that. And that grows to be less of a problem as you get farther into the game and more stuff happens. Like more complexity is added, I guess you would say, because it does get to the point where you're generally always doing something. But at the same time, I would appreciate like a pause button, or something like that, just so that if I'm trying to like place a building, 3 days doesn't pass in game. And I think that's one issue. Terrain is another example here. The landscaping tools are pretty basic, in fact, very basic, and sometimes they don't really make sense when combined with placing things. Like, sometimes you will look at the terrain, and you'll, like, zoom in and be like, okay, this looks pretty flat, and then the building won't place there, or whatever it may be. There's times where, like, the monorail station is one of the worst offenders of this. There's times where you're like, I want to put down a monorail station, but it won't let you because it's obstructed by something, but it won't tell you necessarily, like, you know what I mean? Some of these things, you're like, okay, why can't I not put this here? And then it also, here it's snapping because there's already a monorail there, but, like right here, according to the thing, it looks like this should go here just fine, but you have to, like, kind of mess with it until it gets lined up properly, and the terrain is just a little funky. This looks relatively flat to me. And the monorail station, with the way it's, the outline goes, makes it look like it should be able to be placed there, but then it doesn't necessarily work. There were times in this series when I was making a pen, and I made the whole pen, and then I tried to add water somewhere within the pen, and it was like, no, you just can't add water here. Like, that's not allowed. Little things like that are just very strange. There's also some systems in the game that are not really very intuitive, like dinosaurs, for example. They have this comfort, right, based on how much grassland and how much forest is near them. And apparently the way that it works, you guys have told me in the comments, is that there's like a circle, like an invisible radius around them, and that's how it measures the grassland and forest. It's not it's not based on the size of the pen. It doesn't take this whole giant pen that they're allowed to walk around into account. It's based on an invisible circle around them. And that's not really explained. Maybe it is explained somewhere and I just missed it. But a lot of the stuff like that is not super intuitive. And you kind of just sort of figure it out as you go. As far as all the buildings and structures, like, they're fine. They look good, for the most part. They're fairly, the game looks beautiful. I have no complaints about the visual, aspects of the game. I think the game is absolutely gorgeous. However, you can't really customize anything, and, and that's not necessarily a fair criticism, considering, that kind of ties back into this game is not Planet Coaster argument. Because in Planet Coaster, you could customize every aspect of every building, and it was incredible. And this game lacks that depth. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. This is a much more casual kind of tycoon type game. Sort of a Planet Coaster light, if you will. And as far as the buildings, you get a handful of different buildings. And they do some important things, and they look fairly good, but I never really got to a point where I felt that, like, it was kind of the same loop for every island. You start an island, you make sure you get your core buildings, like your fossil center and your expedition center and your creation lab. Then you start building pens, then you breed the dinosaurs, or you incubate the dinosaurs. I know that's been bothering people. I see breed, but I mean incubate. You put them in the pens. And really, the gameplay loop is fairly repetitive. This is not a game that I can see myself replaying and starting new parks over and over and over again. In addition, when you start a new save file, you have to unlock all the different parks. And then, like, you can't just, the moment you start playing the game, you can't instantly go away, please. We'll talk about those in a minute. You can't instantly go to the sandbox. If you want access to the sandbox, you have to play through other stuff first and accomplish a certain amount. And it adds more elements and complexity in dinosaurs and buildings as you kind of unlock them through the campaign, if you will. But at the same time, it's not like, what if I don't want to? And I know you can restart these islands, apparently. Like, you can, there's a way to do it. I don't remember exactly what it is, but I know from my research and stuff that it is possible to basically restart an island from scratch. But I just don't really see the point of doing that. Once you have everything unlocked, it's basically put down buildings, breed dinosaurs. There's not really a whole lot of management to this game. Like, it's there, but it's very, very simplified. I think you could make a very interesting video about how casual is too casual. Because this is a game that is definitely what I would consider a casual tycoon type game, a casual park builder. Where's this dead dude? Transport. It was in here somewhere. This is another thing that occasionally bothers me. So somewhere in here we have a dead dinosaur, but you can't really see him. He's just sort of, oh, there he is. can't really see them very well, and you just kind of have to hope you get it right. Sometimes when you zoom into the pens to look at the dinosaurs, it won't let you click on them because they're like in the trees, and all you want to do is see their statistics, and it's a little unintuitive in that way. Another thing that bothers me is the contracts. You get these missions, right, from the three divisions, the science, the entertainment, and the security division, but it doesn't really seem like it matters what division they're coming from. Like, the security division will give you stuff that you think, that sounds like a science mission, and the entertainment division will give you security missions, and so on and so forth. Like, it seems like there's just a randomly generated list of missions and contracts, and it doesn't matter what faction gives you what type of mission. There was quite a few, and I'm like, okay, who cares? And that happened on numerous occasions throughout the series. So it doesn't feel like the divisions really matter that much. There could have just been like one division. And there's some management there as far as like balancing their reputation, or they might, if they get ornery with you, they might sabotage you. But there wasn't much to that. I think over the course of 32, 33 episodes, whatever this one is, I think we got sabotaged like twice. And I will say, I'm not a great player of this game. I'm actually pretty terrible at it. But there was a lot of management type stuff that's just fairly lacking. And it lacks depth. This game, I think that's really the ultimate like summarization of Jurassic World Evolution. It lacks depth. It lacks too much depth for my taste. However, as I said, I think there would be a very interesting video to be made about how casual is too casual. If you are the type of player who enjoys very casual games, I think Jurassic World Evolution could really appeal to you. I think it is polished. It for the most part, anyway. There's a couple weird little things, like I said, building placement and stuff like that, but it's fairly polished. It runs very well. I've got no complaints there. I haven't had any sort of performance issues. I think I had like maybe one crash, and I had a couple issues that I eventually figured out were related to my recording software, not to the game itself. But overall, it just kind of lacks suitable amounts of depth for my taste. This is not the type of game that I personally would come back to and replay, 6 months from now or something like that. And I think that's really the largest problem, is that this is a game that is going to either really appeal to you if you're a casual gamer, and if you like Jurassic World and kind of the universe of Jurassic World, then I think this game would really appeal to you. But for me, who's more interested in a lot of depth and a lot of mechanics and some sort of complexity, this game I don't know, it just doesn't really do it for me. It's not a bad game, but it's not a great game either. I think if I had to give it a rating out of 10, I would give it like a 6.5 out of 10. It's okay. It's worth picking up on a sale. However, it is also listed at $60. AAA, full AAA price, $60. Plus there's some DLC that costs extra and stuff like that as well. And I just have a really hard time recommending this game at that price. I think if you could pick it up on the Steam sale or something for like 50% off, get it for $30, yeah, for sure. I would be comfortable recommending it at that price if you're into these types of games and you're, fairly casual when it comes to these types of games. And casual is not a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with enjoying casual games. Some people that appeals to, some people it doesn't. I appreciate the accessibility that casual games offer. But for $60, I just don't really think you're going to get your money's worth. In terms of hours, I think there's far better games out there that you could spend that $60 on and get a lot more playtime. Planet Coaster being one of the obvious ones. You can get far more hours of enjoyment, I think, out of Planet Coaster. It has a lot more replayability. It has a lot more depth to it. But it's also a fairly complex game. So if you are more into casual games, there's nothing wrong with that. And maybe this would be worth your time. As for me, I think I'm pretty much done with it at this point. And I don't necessarily intend to return to it. I don't think it's a terrible game, but I don't think it's a great game either. And I think it had a lot of missed opportunities and a lot of kind of missed potential. I would like to see more complexity, more management, better building tools, especially for terrain. I would like the terrain stuff cleaned up. I would like the building stuff to be a little bit more intuitive as far as putting down structures, and I would like some of the mechanics to be explained a little bit better in the game, as far as like the way the pens work and what will make these guys angry and, you know, all that kind of stuff. I think there's a lot of stuff here, and I think that the game at this point focuses far too much on just the dinosaurs and the visual appeal of the dinosaurs, because the game does look amazing. And the voice acting is well done and all that kind of stuff. But I think polish alone does not make a great game. I think you can only put, you know, so much polish onto a game to increase its overall, like, level of goodness. If the game is boring to begin with, it doesn't matter how shiny of a coat of paint you put on it. It's still going to be a boring game. And I think that's, to some degree, what we have here. But again, I think I find this game, I like it more than I did when I first started playing it, but I think it lacks the depth to keep me interested for longer than, you know, roughly the length of a YouTube series. So those are kind of my thoughts. As I said, not a terrible game. I don't think it's worth the $60 asking price. I think it is potentially worth picking up on a sale if you can get it at a significant discount. But those are my thoughts on Jurassic World Evolution after I've put a lot more time into it than my first impressions video. And I think I'm going to wrap this one up right here. Guys, if you enjoyed the video and the series, you know what to do. Links in the description below, so check those out as well. Otherwise, my friends, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.